Yes, my people, as the hot, it don't happen. No, Peter Obi lied yesterday at his presidential campaign in Enugu yesterday. In lied say during time there was nothing like strike, but him forget to know say there was an Ali must go riot when Peter Obi was still in school. Man, don't talk too much. Now people they talk, they accuse Peter Obi since. Say all these things happen, say Peter Obi they lie. But me now wait, Arise TV won't fact check Peter Obi. Then if not discover say all wetin Peter Obi they talk na truth, say no lie, that means Peter Obi suppose end your vote. You suppose vote for this man when you know say this man no dey lie. Man, not talk too much. Me now watch the way Arise TV say fact check all wetin Peter Obi talk yesterday because people they talk say na lie, the man they lie. Me now watch am. Please, my business family, just dey share this video, make we correct people impression. All those people they talk say Peter Obi lie yesterday, make we correct their impression. Please share this video and comment your opinion in the comment section when I watch am.
Let's go straight to it this morning, because a lot of people also say let's fact check. They said in his speech while in the university, he said in his time there were no strikes, and a lot of people said, oh, while Obi was still in school, that you have had the Ali must go riot, you know, that had segued into a lot of things. And how is he going to end the incessant strikes that pretty much have dogged our university system since the 80s? Or some people like to count the first official strike from the late 80s, you know, the Babangida debacle up till now. So those are two things to put forward there. You know, we weigh all sides of the conversation.
No.
Yeah.
It's only right that journalists should ask questions.
Yeah.
And it is only proper that society should be informed by the questions and the answers that will be provided by the candidates or anyone who is looking for political office. So these questions are right and they should be asked. To answer the question related to fact checking, I don't understand what universe some people live in. But I grew up in Ibadan, and one of the areas where I grew up in Ibadan was the University of Ibadan. I went to Abadina Primary School in UI.
Great Abadina.
Yes. And I lived across the road from the campus at Olorogun Junction. So I can speak to an extent about the university system that must have nurtured Peter Gregory Obi. When he said there were no strikes in his days, I would say that is factually correct. Factually correct, because strikes were few and far between, and the Ali must go to which they refer wasn't an ASU strike. It wasn't the academics on strike, as far as I can remember. It was a student strike. And as at that time, the Nigerian state responded to that strike exactly as it has always responded to every challenge to its autocracy. It killed, it murdered. My first contact with the Nigerian state was during the Ali Must Go riot, and it was me sniffing tear gas. So when they speak about strikes in the 70s, particularly in the 70s and the 80s, they speak ignorantly, because we're talking about a situation today where students are at home for upward of 9 months. We're talking about a situation today where the universities are functionally higher secondary schools, if the truth be told. So if they should not be comparing apples and oranges, compare apples and apples. When Gregory Peter Obi said there were no strikes in his days, he is completely correct, and I stand by that. There is nowhere in the world where you will not have industrial disagreements. But nothing of the sort that we are having today. If it was in those days that somebody would dare to go on strike and shut down the universities for a month, this country would have been grounded to a halt. Even in my own days in the universities in the 90s, this level of nonsense would not have been tolerated and allowed to become normal in our space. So let them not be speaking to that. And there was something you said in your intro that Peter Obi claimed that the university system more or less like destroyed. That's not a claim. That's a fact. There is nowhere in the world where people understand the fact that education is an investment in the future of that country and in the youth of that country, where something as intolerable as 9 months closure, and that is normal, because the children of everyone making the policies, including myself, our children are not in the Nigerian universities. It is the poor who send their children to Nigerian universities, and nobody cares about them anymore. If I had been born in this generation, I would never have entered the four walls of a university, and I met the rump of the destroyed university system. So when he said, it's not a claim, it is a fact. But the unfortunate thing is that is not confined to the educational sector. We're not dealing with sectoral failures in Nigeria any longer. We're dealing with systemic collapse. That is the reality that is staring us in the face. We keep using all these euphemisms in place of the real words that should communicate the reality of our situation. the educational system is completely unfit for purpose. The reality is you actually have to retrain, reorient. It's not just the educational system. We can have these farcical gyrations about sectoral failures, or we can look at our abject nudity in the mirror that is before us and admit to the fact that the system has collapsed. So it's not a claim, it's a fact.
So how will he prevent this that have been going on for a while?
No,
strikes. How will he stop? Because he made a promise that he's going to stop strikes.
It's a simple enough thing. It's a simple enough thing. And I'll take it from the macro level. If you, as a parent, as a husband, opens up the finances of the home to the point where there are no opacity, nobody is wondering what might be hidden under the table somewhere, it's not like you have prioritized the well-being of the rulers whilst ignoring the welfare of the citizens who are non-existent in the current reality. If you open up the books, if the people understand that this is what the government has, and you prioritize based on the needs and the vision that you have for the future, nobody is going to demand that you should bring what you do not have.
Okay, so on the subject of money, which was what I was going to actually start with, education financing is huge. This present administration for the 2023 budget allocated 1.79 trillion to education, the second largest after defense and security. And very good, compared to the last. It still falls way below the United Nations recommendation of 26% of the budget. This was 8.2% of the entire budget. It is expensive to fund education. In fact, one of the main reasons for the strikes you're talking about in terms of preventing the strikes was more funding, ASU's agitation for more funding for universities, and also a review of salaries of lecturers. And the federal government is saying there's no money. And if your candidate does become president, he's going to be dealing with the repayment of 77 trillion naira loan. Where will he get the money to actualize this statement that he's made as to no strikes if he does become president?
See, I am of the firm opinion that openness in governance is the first antidote to strife in the populace. When the populace have a clear understanding of exactly what the government is doing at any point in time, what are the financial resources available to the government, and how are these financial resources deployed? These are the reasons why the industrial actions either fizzle out or persist. That is one. When you look at our educational system, just as with every other sector of our national life, the reality, and I have said this way too often, but it bears repetition again, it has been destroyed almost beyond repair. You actually have to reimagine it. And in our educational sector, we would actually have no choice but to reimagine it. We have to ask ourselves exactly what is the purpose of education in the digital age. Exactly where are we preparing our children to go? Are we raising back into antiquity, or are we looking to catch up and bridge the gap that already exists? However much might have been voted to education, if you are still putting, for as long as you keep pouring water into a basket, no matter how much effort you put into your water fetching activity, the basket will not get filled up. We're dealing with a system that is patently unfit for purpose, riddled with corruption, and definitely not serving the future needs of the Nigerian people and the state itself. So first thing first, you need to take a look at our educational system. I'm in the construction industry to an extent, and I've been tangentially there for about the last 25 or so years, where I've serviced the real estate industry. And what I can tell you is this: in all of that time, 90% of the artisan class that works in construction in Lagos, don't let me generalize and say Nigeria, in Lagos, 90%, if not more, of the artisan class, from bricklayer to carpenters to tilers, name plasterers, they are either from Ghana or from Togo or from the Benin Republic. Now, you might wonder, what does this have to do with education? That is part of the problem we have evolved for ourselves as a people. We've trained people who go to university to learn philosophy, to learn IRK, big Bible knowledge, but we don't have the capacity to train those who build nations. We cannot have engineers. It pains me when I look on our street, I see road constructions, I'm seeing third grade expatriates brought, for as long as the skin is white, he is able to do the job, and yet we have engineers graduating all over the place, and we have unemployment. These are the real issues that we would have to deal with. Take another look at our educational system. Why are we graduating illiterates, certificated idiots? I'm sorry to say, pardon my French, but the reality is that we are graduating people who do not have the capacity to deduce logically, and who have been, in fact, what you have had, actually, if the truth be told, is a situation where the state has enabled weaponized ignorance. They are teaching people to be ignorant by the time they graduate, so that you are able to dictate terms to them. Financing of education is not a cost, it's an investment. When governments see it as an investment, it means that they can anchor their vision for the future to whatever they are doing in the educational sector. When I was in school, we had woodwork workshops, there were metalworks workshops. What has happened to all of those? There were technical colleges. What has happened to them? What has happened to them? Cobblestone roads, we can't even build. That is 18th century technology. We cannot. Okay, thank you very much. I stand to be corrected. But the fact remains that we have built a system that is patently unfit for purpose. So whatever else Mr. Peter Gregory Obi might do or not do, we must understand that the cornerstone of whatever he's going to do will be openness, so that the people understand exactly where we are, connect the people to the vision for that policy, because it's not just about education. We have systemic collapse. That's what we are facing.
Okay, make a pause the video there. For those where they talk, say Peter Obi the lie. When I don't say they don't fact check Peter Obi, and just say no iota of lie for anything or everything when they talk. And why I be saying now only Peter Obi now they fact check? Why don't they fact check Atiku and Tinubu? When I don't say this man now really God sent, and this man now is supposed to earn your vote after you watch this video finish. And if you never see Enna, that means say you don't dey the side of a better Nigeria, and you now be the liar. Man, not talk too much. Please, my obedient family, can share this video, make we correct the impression of those people that say Peter Obi the liar. And if you are new to my page, please follow my page, and please don't forget to hit the like button, share this video, and comment. Share this video for go viral. We stand obedient 2023.